You know, it's funny, George, we didn't talk about this. Yes, ma'am.
I was just wondering if everybody in the room who has been to Cuba could stand up.
Go ahead. All right. Those people have been instrumental in what's happening. But what I was going to say is, I was going to do exactly what George did, because this is an awesome devotional, and I know most of you know Brian, spent a lot of time with him, whatever. But this is an incredible devotional. And each and every day, this reinforces what we talk about. It reinforces what our life is. And so there's a bunch of them back there, and I told him I was going to give them away. So even if you have one, take another one and give it to someone that you know would appreciate a devotional. It's very meaningful. So anyway, tell you a little bit about what Selfless Community is, how it all got started and all that business. 25 years ago, I went to Cuba. I'd been on like 4 or 5 different mission trips. I've been to South America. I'd been to Poland a couple of times. I've been to Dominican. I went to Cuba and fell in love with that place. Those people, everything about it. And God just put it on my heart. This is where I want you to serve. And years ago, in church, there was a missionary came and spoke, and I walked down the aisle and said, I want to be a missionary. Little did I know it would take about ever how many years, 50 years, before I started doing the mission work. But this is all just come together like you wouldn't believe, and it's straight from God. I really can't explain how doors continue to get open and how people just come in and are just touched by the whole experience and being involved. So a little bit about what happened is I started doing mission trips, and I was on the Southeast Christian Church Mission Committee for about 6 years. All kinds of different things, but they asked me to start leading trips down there. After I'd gone the first time, I told them how much I loved it. They said, why don't you start leading trips down there? So I said, okay, I'd be happy to. And so I started taking people down there, and it was basically a baseball ministry to start out with. And this just shows you how God is instrumental in everything we do. These kids loved baseball. They had no equipment whatsoever. I retired from Nike about 10 years ago, so I had access to all kinds of different stuff. And so I started taking bags of shoes down. I mean, I'm talking a lot of shoes. And then one day, this friend of mine I worked with in Florida, she had gotten a job in Oregon. She says, I've got some bats here that are blemished, and the reason they were blemished is they said they were approved for Babe Ruth League, and they were too hot. In other words, the negative on them. These are metal bats, and they had a lot of power, and they're not. They can't be used in the United States. Can you use them in Cuba? I said, yeah, I'm sure I can. Well, this is before you could send anything down there. And so she said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll have them delivered. And I said, okay. And she said, I got some batting gloves and some other stuff. I said, that'd be great. I'll just take whatever. My name's Jimmy. I'll take what you give me, you know. And so she sent those things, and I had no idea. It was a tractor trailer with 12,000 bats. And I'm going, what? And I had no idea, so I asked the guy, I had to scramble. I said, I don't know where to put these things. And I called this guy, he said, I've got an empty business office, and in the back, you can put those in there temporarily. I said, okay, we'll get them there first. So the guy followed me over there. He says, I can leave this. He said, I live here in Louisville. He said, I can leave the trailer here if you can get it unloaded by tomorrow morning. I said, yeah. So I called a guy and I said, hey, buddy, I need your help. And so we unloaded all those bats. Well, fast forward, you can't send anything down there. So every trip, everybody had to take 12 bats. I put a bag together and I said, now you're going to take 12 bats down there. And these kids, I mean, it just, you wouldn't believe it. And how this all happened was the pastor would go to the parents and he would say, okay, I've got a program and this is part of the church. And what we do is they come and they have an hour program where we talk about the Bible and we talk about Jesus Christ. And so if your son attends this, he's going to have to be there for the program. Then we give him a sandwich and a drink, and then we play baseball. And they're all okay. Well, next thing you know, there's 12 house churches. They had 2 little teams at a time. There's 12 house churches. And that's another story in itself. But all the house church leaders except one were women. Men weren't involved. Next thing you know, men were saying, well, hey, I can coach. They got, the kids brought the parents in. And it just, that's how God worked all this out. And they just continue to grow. Now there's, I don't know exactly how many house churches, but there's 4,000 members of all these churches. And, you can talk to anybody that's been there, and they'll tell you that the house churches are grounded in the truth. Sylvia's taught at several of them. Everybody goes and preaches on Sunday to a house church. You give your testimony or whatever if you're not comfortable delivering a message, but it's just amazing what's going on as far as the spread of the truth. So basically what we do, we've developed into, we don't really do a lot of sports ministry anymore. We're trying to get that going back up again. But we start sending containers down. And so, like, for instance, we have clinics. We'll do 2, 3, 4 clinics if we can while we're down there. We have a medical staff, if you will. It's really, this thing is just, my wife and I and Kelly and other volunteers, this isn't really like an operation. But it's amazing what God has allowed us to do. And so, what we do is we send a container down there, and there are 14 pages of things. I send it down there in Spanish, and the physicians down there will go through and look it over and say, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that. Well, SOS, which is Supplies Overseas, down on Arlington Avenue, I didn't know existed until about 7 years ago. They collect all this stuff from hospitals all over. And so basically what happens is they provide this stuff at a particular cost, but it's really pennies on the dollar. And so we've sent everything from ultrasound machines down there to you name it, X-ray machines, and they're functional. People, I know Sue and anybody else that works in a hospital, you know how it's like things age out. Also, there's a lot of things that they need that are just outrageous that they don't have. They don't have any gloves. They couldn't do operations because they didn't have gloves. How insane is that? They reuse catheters that should be one-time only catheters, and they say, well, we put it in an autoclave to sterilize it. The autoclave doesn't work. So infection's rampant down there. You go in a hospital, it's a 50, flip a coin if you're going to make it out of there. And so it's insane. So we're able to get all these things. We got, like, I don't know if you know what a pallet is, but it's loaded up. We sent 6 pallets of gloves on one container. So if I had pictures, I'd show you. Craig tried to figure out how to do it, but anyway. So we go to these consultorios, which are like offices, and then we go to the policlinicas, which are like urgent care type things. You walk in there, there is absolutely nothing. There's chairs to sit and wait, and you see the doctor. They don't have any Band-Aids. They don't have any gauze. I said, you know, my wife uses these on exam tables, these papers, and I could roll those out over those steel things. He said, no, they'd steal the paper. So we have these little drapes that we put on there, but the long story short is they have nothing. They don't have aspirin. They can't get anything down there. I can't explain the needs. So we send this stuff down there. It's a 40-foot container. We'll put other things on there as well. We'll put food, canned food, things of that nature. They're very good to work with at SOS, letting us put those things on there. So we send that down there. God just opened the door for that. It cost about $20,000, and there's over $400,000 worth of stuff on there. So it's a beautiful thing, a beautiful thing. We do that a couple times a year. And then we also send food down there, containers of food. There's a group out of Ohio called Lifeline Christian Mission, and they have food packs. And so basically what it is, there's 6 meals that are contained in this pack. People have been participating in that before. And there's rice, beans, dried vegetables, soy for protein, and we put it in there, seal it, and then they put it in boiling water, and they can mix it with something if they have it. We take like cans of tuna down there and all this stuff. Anything to give them some type of nutrition. The other side of it is they don't have food. The government has what they call a ration card, and people go once a month and get their ration, and they check off what they give them. Well, it used to be beans, rice, coffee, sugar, and then sometimes there would be chicken available. But they've cut back everything. So now you get 1 cup of rice for a family for a month. You got to be kidding me. I mean, all this stuff sounds like you got to be making this up, but it's true. And so the house church that we deliver this stuff to and we preach to, we'll go there and we'll give them food. To the Policlinicas, we delivered a bunch of stuff this last time, boxes and boxes and boxes, and they just start crying. They just start crying. I mean, it's like, and this one lady, this last trip, you can imagine not having any children's Tylenol, and you got a baby that's got a fever. What can you do? They say, well, it's got some type of infection, a virus, whatever it is, but I can't give you anything. You need some. We took this lady, this nurse. She was like maybe, I don't know, she could have been a physician's assistant, whatever. I don't know what her particular thing is, but she started crying when we gave her this children's Tylenol, liquid form. And she says, you don't know. You don't know. And that's all she could say. Well, the last time we went down there, she said, because you guys bring this down here, you saved a 4-year-old and an 8-month-old because they had a terrible fever and they were just going to die. Things like that. So there's a incredibly need for food and medicine. We sent a container of food I was telling you about with all those meals on it. That's right at $10,000. God has blessed me with friends that have been so sweet to donate money. And so it's just one thing after another. God opens the doors. I just present this, and God's the one that does it all. I don't take credit for anything. Believe you me, I love it when people say, hey, Steve, I thank you so much. I love that. But it's not me. And I tell them every time, it's not me. God has orchestrated this whole thing with volunteers and donors and everything else. And it's just, I just sit there and I say, this is just nothing short of a miracle. It really and truly is. So when we go down there, I'll tell you a little bit about this. We go down with a team of people. Sometimes it can be, like this last time we had 10 going. Ended up being only 6 because of various reasons. But with the 6 of us, we just did 2 clinics this time. Well, we've got physicians down there we work with. And so my sweet wife orders, she retired about 2 years ago. She orders medicine from her supplier still because she has a license. And so they know where it's going. And so we will take every kind of thing you can imagine. And we put a bag together that's going to have 30 days of vitamins, 30 days of ibuprofen, toothbrush, toothpaste, just basic need things. And then they come in with their med list. And so they'll have a medical list because they know what's wrong with them. They've been diagnosed. They may be diabetic, they may have high blood pressure, they may have whatever, but they don't have medicine. So the physicians work with the people we have also, and we just put all this stuff together, and it's all broken down before we get there. And my wife's already started for the November trip. I mean, we get back from a trip, it starts again. It's a full-time job. But I'm telling you, I don't know where I'd rather spend my time. I can't think of a place. And so all I can say is, people say, well, how can I help? Prayer. We need all the prayer we can get because God is doing a wonderful job down there in the people's hearts. If you want to give, that's awesome too. We'll take it. And if you want to go, and I can tell you right now, I've told everybody this, I can show you pictures, I can tell you stories, I can write all this stuff out. You can go to our website and see a lot of this stuff, but you have to go to really understand it. You have to immerse yourself in it. We do evangelism on the streets. We go house visitations. You got a little taste of what Kelly does with the children's ministry. It's exploded. The most I'd seen down there on a Saturday, on the Saturday morning program, they have more than one of these going on in different house churches, but we concentrate on that one because that's where everybody is. There were 90 kids, and they're from ages 4 to 18. So they've got all this thing. Well, they break them down into the older group and then the younger group. They have a little intro, and then the older group goes across the street, and we talk to them. Well, the older group we talk to about more serious items. Safe sex or no sex, how about that? Drugs, alcohol, temptation, all that stuff. The other kids, Kelly does his presentation to them. And you should see their little faces. I mean, they're so beautiful. We have a pediatrician that goes with us, and he went for the first time about 3 trips ago, and he wasn't in there but one day. He says, hey, if you'll let me come back, I'll come back every time. I said, let you come back? I said, you kidding me? You know, I mean, I don't care how big of a knucklehead you are, you can be used, you know. And so we go down there, and it turns out to be, it's not about them. That's where I got the name. God gave it to me. Selfless community. Less self, more others. Okay? It's not about us. And so it's just an incredible trip. And it cost about, we stay at the church there, and if there's power, we have air conditioning. There's showers. They feed us great. He finds the food. And it's home-cooked meals, 3 meals a day. People are just full of joy in spite of all the circumstances. And you're talking about power, so gas is $18 a gallon if you can find it. If you can find it. And so it's such an incredible, just, I don't know how to say it, but just a powerful weight on these people to try to get things. I mean, the government's made it so hard, and so they've got that weight on their shoulders. Am I going to get my kid shoes? I mean, I don't care what it is. And so there's all these opportunities for us to take things down there and do different things for people. But at the same time, God has given them this peace because of, we do teaching. Sylvia does, she teaches the house church leaders. We have Bible studies. we attend this English language school where there's all kids in there, and they're not all church members. Matter of fact, probably about maybe 5 out of 100 of them are. But yet, the guy that is his name is Fidel, oddly enough, but he is the teacher of the thing. He says, I want you to share the gospel with them. That's what he tells us to do. Use the language learning and talk about the gospel. So we have all these, I forgot them, but we have all these little things that we get from, what's the name of the place, Kelly? Down in Louisiana? Yeah, I can't think of the ministry, but it's got Jesus and Me on one side, and the other is the story of Jesus. And it's for children, but it's also for adults. It's in Spanish. We get them in Spanish. We also get a harmony of the Gospels in Spanish, which is, it's interesting because it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, but it is the things that are the same, they'll have them together there so they can follow along, and that's in Spanish. We get the PTL Pocket Testament League, get that in Spanish. And so we have all these different things. Sylvia gets all her books that we take down there in Spanish. Beth helps her. Nicole, who was here, she had to work today, but she's from Peru. She's a nurse. She's another one that's just a light for everybody. She's so sweet. And she helps do all this stuff as well. And so we just, like the last time I went down there, Sylvia couldn't make it. I'm glad a lot of women didn't make it because I'm telling you, it was hot, buddy, and we didn't have any power. So you're laying there, you think, I've got malaria. You know, I mean, you're just profusely sweating in bed. And, but anyway, power would come on from like 2 to 4 in the morning. Well, people have their lights on, so they get up and they start cooking. They do what they have to do. And obviously, if you go 30 straight hours, stuff will spoil in your fridge or what have you, so they lose a lot of food that way. But there is always something that we're able to provide for people. And that's the beauty of it. God gives us that ability, gives us the resources, and they are the most resourceful people I've ever met in my life. I mean, they make something happen out of nothing. And the more you go down there, the more you see, it's like more examples of that. But so let's say for a week we go down there. It's $125 a day to stay there. And that goes to the ministry. That's how he pays his people. I mean, and at $125 for 3 meals, transportation, room and board, everything else like that. I mean, you can't beat that. I don't care where you go. And it's all awesome. We go to different things each day. So we'll break up into teams depending on how many people we have. People will go do medical. The more medical people we have, we can start doing 2 clinics at the same time. We plan for 150 at each clinic. So we take all these bags down there. We have anywhere, you can take 50-pound bags up to 70-pound bags. So we hand carry those down there. The stuff we ship down, that goes to polyclinicas. They can't ship medicine. They won't ship medicine. But we hand carry it down there. So what happens is we've planned for 150 people per clinic. I looked out there first morning, and I see standing there at 6:30 a.m., there had to be 100 people in line for the clinic. It starts at 9:30. We saw 321 people that day. So we could have used everything up, but we were going to Zone 13 where we're going to go see somebody else. So we had to save those back, the extra medicine. So we went to see them. We saw 127 people there because we told them beforehand, don't let anybody that's not a church member come in until we see the members of the church first, because that's part of it. That's part of the allure of belonging to a house church, because he takes care of all those folks. He makes sure they get fed when we get stuff down there. And then in the evenings, we'll either do a children's ministry in a house church, And each one of these little house churches has a children's ministry, and there'll be 30 or 40 kids packed in a room, not much bigger than this stage. I'm serious. And they all sit on the floor, and they're so well behaved. And then Kelly shares the gospel with them through all kinds of different things. We also have Sylvia that'll do teaching. We'll go to Bible studies. So we stay busy down there, but it's all a focus on them and the gospel. And I'll say this, to see the fruit of all this is just hard to believe. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. So we're trying to get power down there in the form of solar power system set up. He's got a couple of independent private businesses. You can do that in Cuba. I won't get into all that, but it's a long, long story. But they're allowed to do these different things. So to power all the, there's 4 buildings there at the church we've been able to purchase, and they have a bakery there. Well, this bakery is able to provide food for them. And so they make the best cinnamon rolls you've ever eaten. And they make bread, and I'm telling you, they sell out by noon. I mean, and it's all, he doesn't sell it to make a profit. He breaks even, that's all. And so people come and buy it like crazy. And it's like the bread of life. We try to, everything we do has a spiritual reference to it. And people are starting to catch on to what's happening. And how much longer have I got here? 10 minutes or something like that? Okay. I don't want to go on and on and on. But it's just one example after another how God opens a door. And so in street evangelism, you'll run into people that are in need of all kinds of things. And so we always have some candy with us, you know, and we listen to what they have to say. Well, there's a religion down there that's kind of, it got its origin probably from Haiti. It's got some voodoo influence to it, but it's called Santeria. Well, we run into this lady, an older lady, and we're talking to her. And we always have an interpreter. And I think Sylvia told you about Uranus. She started crying because she was convicted of the spirit in her. She had been going to church, but tears just came down her eyes. And the fellow Roger she's referring to, Roger, he was there at one of the clinic in Zone 13. I didn't see him, but he's had a stroke or two, and he can't talk. And just like David's talking about, he says, Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you. But I'm starting to go up the steps, and I got this bag of medicine, and it's heavy and everything. And I'm going, golly, what did I catch it on? It's him grabbing that down there. He says, he wants to talk to me. And I got to go over and let his wife talk to me because he can't say what he wants to say. It's frustrating to him. And for a guy like that to be as educated, I mean, Greek, he knows it all. And just like Sylvia said, he gets it. He knows the truth. And what has happened? Here he's had a daggone stroke, and he can't speak the truth. But you can know what kind of love he's got. But anyway, the thing of it is, there's always something for somebody to do. Don't go down there or don't come along thinking, well, I'm not gifted in that area, I'm not gifted in the other area or whatever. There's plenty of things to do. And so once we get this power thing done, he's had 3 different estimates. These people, I mean, they know what they're doing. $68,000 is what it's going to cost. So I'm sitting there, and Eduardo was just here about 3 weeks, month ago, something like that, came to visit, and he's telling me about all this. He brought the proposal he had. He said, let's just see if we can. I said, buddy, we're going to get this. I have faith that we're going to get this. And so I had a friend I went to high school with, great guy, And he's always asking me, how can I help? And he sends money quarterly, whatever. And I was telling him about it and all this stuff. I tell another guy, another guy, another guy, another guy, another guy. And because, is this being recorded? I'll tell you what happened. You can only take $5,000 down there on you, cash. There were some guys that didn't feel comfortable taking $5,000 because whatever. I said, okay, everybody take $3,000. And I had it figured out to where, I was going to take 6. I'm going to edge it in there. I like trying to chance things, I like the adventure of it or whatever. And so, anyway, because people couldn't go, I had a lot more. Well, we go through, and we had a problem. And so I'm thinking, oh no. Well, it all got worked out. It all got worked out. And so we are about $3,000 short of having the total amount in a month raised. And we've got enough to send another container down next month. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just amazing. So you can do anything that God allows you to do. Ask Him. He'll provide it. And so I was telling Brandy, she's back there. She's my hairstylist, if you really want to know what's going on. But she was saying she wanted to go. She said it a couple times. I said, you can go. Here's what we. So I talked to Dulce down there, and Dulce, that's what she does. She's a hairstylist. They do nails and all this stuff. I mean, you should see them. And I said, if I bring a hairstylist down here, she wants to do that for these older ladies. I mean, can you imagine how they can't get out but go to their house and just do their hair and everything else? I mean, how good they'd feel. I mean, I'm not a woman, but I know my mother used to love that, and I know my wife loves it, get a haircut or whatever. I said, that'd be a great little outreach right there. And I told her about it. She says, yes, please. So, I mean, that's a form of ministry right there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's so many things that we can all do, and it's all just about sharing the love of Christ. That's all it is to it. And Sylvia, they love Sylvia. She just gets up there, and like she says, she hadn't tried to learn Spanish. She loves to hear the interpreters. And the thing about it is, a lot of the interpreters are kids of people I knew a long time ago. I mean, they weren't even born yet. And they're young, and they're getting involved in the church. And so there's just a succession plan that God has put in place that Southeast, I'm not knocking Southeast, but that was probably, that was one of their deals. Do you have a succession plan in place? Well, Eduardo went to Spain and got a dual citizenship. They had this amnesty program in place about 7, 8 years ago, something like that, maybe longer, where if your father or your grandfather was born in Spain and you lived in Cuba, you could go back to Spain and get citizenship. So he's got a citizenship in Spain, he's got dual citizenship, and he's got a dual passport. And so he started Campo Amor, which means field of love, as a Spanish foundation. So the Cuban government, there's a lot of things they can't deal with it. I mean, it's like that's an open thing. They don't want to hurt their relationship with Spain. So he's able to do all these different things. Private business, that's how he's got the bakery. It's called Barrocoesa, which is, he's from Baracoa. And he's employed about 12 different bakers. And then in addition to that, so he's got this plan of employment. Nobody has jobs. If you could just see what a visionary he is, and here's what he told me. He says, this is tough time right now, very tough, probably the toughest time that we've ever had in Cuba, even the special period when Russia pulled out. And he was saying that they had, him and his 2 kids and his wife, had a potato to share for dinner during the special period. It's funny how the government wants everybody to tighten their belts and everything else, but they don't. And so what's happened is, he said, I don't want God to say, I gave you this window of opportunity, Eduardo, and you didn't take advantage of it. So he's doing, I mean, she'll tell you, Kelly will tell you, Brett, anybody that's been down there, this guy busts his tail every day. I mean, he's constantly looking for ways to help the people there. He pays them a salary that is more than a medical doctor, this very, very highly regarded thoracic surgeon, Dr. Romero, Carlos Romero, $26 a month. That's what he makes. Hard to believe. All this stuff's hard to believe, but they're trapped. And they say it all the time. They say, really, we're in prison here. But they have joy in spite of all this. That's what's amazing to me, and that's why I love going there and love helping them. There's plenty of other places that are just as bad or worse off, but this is right here on our doorstep. Right here on our doorstep. And there's so many ways you can help. So that's the gist of it all, but I will say this. If you go, I promise you, it'll change your life. Because you'll be able to see the Spirit at work in areas that you thought, wow, how does this happen? How does this happen? And they're hungry for the truth. They've been lied to for 67 years. And the fact that we're able to do that right now is another thing, a window of opportunity. And so we go, people say, where, isn't it dangerous down there? Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's dangerous. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as an opportunity to share the gospel. And Kelly's got a heart for these kids that just, and they feel it. They know it. They know when you care about them. They feel that. And it's just everything from the guards that keep watch at night to the girls in the kitchen. My gosh, they work so hard, and it's so hot in that kitchen. They're cooking on charcoal right now with a pressure cooker. And if they fry something, they just put it in oil on there and fry it. So if they don't have power, that thing's lit up. You walk by that and you can feel the heat off that, and it's 95 in the room. So there's all kinds of opportunities. So if you are interested, or you know someone that's interested, and you want to help out with some type of medical supply thing that you have access to, if you have access to whatever, God can use it. God can use you. He's using you now. And so all I can say is it's a beautiful thing, and I'll go till I die. All righty. Thank y'all. Okay. So it's $875. That's a religious visa. I forgot to tell. I'm glad you asked that. The religious visa we get from the Cuban government. We have to apply 60 days prior to our trip. That's the cutoff for it. And so it goes through the Religious Affairs Office, and so we get that from Customs and everything else. So when we go through, we have a religious visa that allows us to do whatever we can evangelize wherever. You can't get up with a bullhorn or anything like that, but you can interact with people one-on-one. And everything else we do is all covered under that religious visa. So that's $125. In addition to what you pay, it's $750 for all the meals and all that other stuff. So it's $875 for that. Then, whatever your flight is, we try to all go down together. And right now, I think the last ticket was it's close to $700. It's between $500 and $700. So you're looking at $1,500, $1,600 is what it is. And I know that sounds like a lot, but at the same time, a lot of people fundraise. I mean, they just say, hey, listen, I'm going to go to Cuba on this mission trip. You can send them to Selfless Community so they can see what it is, selflesscommunity.net. Kelly's got it on the little flyer there. Thank you again, Kelly. So it's very, very reasonable from a cost standpoint, and people, you'd be surprised how many people would, happily give to you to go. Well, I got a friend of mine who, he's a AA fellow. We started that program down there as well, and you'd be surprised how many people have issues with alcohol. And so anyway, so what they do is they take their money and spend it on alcohol, and family doesn't get anything. So there's all kinds of opportunities. But anyway, he raises money all the time to go. And I forgot, is there any other questions about anything? We're going to go November 4th through, I think, the 10th. It's a Wednesday because it's the day after Election Day. So everybody, we're going to vote, and then go. Yes, sir, Kelly.
Well, if anybody wants to, we got all kinds of pictures I can show you. Various companies talking about kids and people, the place on watching.
Yeah. There you go. And then, again, if I kind of send out through email, I know people don't look at email anymore. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on all that stuff. I'm sorry. But I send out an email, and it's got all the information on it. The website has all the information on it. We're a 501c3, by the way, so it's a tax write-off if you do donate. Anything else, you can see me after, or we can talk more about it at Sylvia's during the communion time. Okay, thank you.